Okay.
Not good.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, I was like, they're waiting. Okay, now.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, Beth. All right, I'd like to call this meeting of the City Operations of the City of Plattsburgh City Operations Committee to order. It's November 14, 2022 at 5:02 p.m. First do the roll call. Councilor Gibbs here. Councilor Moore here. Mayor Rosenquist here. And Councilor Bob also present. Item 1, I'll first take a motion to approve the minutes of September 12, 2022 City Operations Committee. Motion from Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Moore. All in favor? Aye. All right, moving on to item 2, City Clerk. We've got the discussion, the City Clerk monthly and year-to-date report. That item was provided to us in our packet this week. Are there any questions, comments, discussion? All right, seeing none, move on to item 3, community events. Item 3.1, we have draft resolution approval of street closures for 2022 holiday parade. Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Mayor Rosenquist. Any discussion on this? All right, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. This will pass to the regular meeting of the Common Council. Item 3.2, draft resolution authorizing holiday displays in Trinity Park. Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Mayor Rosenquist. Any discussion on this one? Something I think we're all looking forward to. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All right. This will move as well to the regular Common Council meeting. Item 4, we've got Municipal Lighting Department. We have a draft resolution authorizing MLD to award bid. Does anybody have any questions or comments, discussion on this? Oh, sorry, motion. Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Mayor Rosenquist. Any discussion, comments? Oh, what is this for?
Replacement of battery banks for St. Lawrence 1 and 2.
All right, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All right, and this will also go to the regular meeting of the Common Council. All right, we move on to item number 5. Is there any public comment tonight for this committee? Seeing none, is there any new business to come before this committee? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Mayor Rosenquist. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned. Yeah, that was 5:04. All right, so yeah, I got a quick rhythm. All right, and now of course we've got our council workshop.
Well, I'll kick it off.
I don't know. Let me check with the other council to see if they plan on being there. I think we were scheduled to have this at 5. I didn't even know this. Okay.
Of course, there is a plan. You know, like reasons, like summaries are good, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Councilor Kelly's on his way. Councilor Edwards.
Yeah, I was talking with Richard, and he said that he created a summary report to be forwarded to you.
Yes,
Did you hear that?
yeah, I have yet to look at them, but I'll review them. And
Thank
It's
you.
just summarizing the major categories of expense across the board and across each fund.
Thank you.
Part of the questions you were asking, like, where do I find the 8,000 and where do I find it, so. Gives you an increase by major categories of expense, such as $16 million in payroll. How much is left over last year in the budget for this year?
Thank you.
Yes. Tonight, we have, city clerk, MLD, police and fire. I believe that would round out the rest of the departments to come to discuss these. Items with the, council as they work through the budgets, the budget. Portion, to their portion of the budget process. City clerk, the projected expenses for the city clerk are anticipated to decrease about 30%, 29%. This is largely associated to chargebacks from shared services. For example, election services that are charged to the city of Bradford. Those fluctuate annually, year to year, based on a projection of the election cycle in the year. There's no staff that's being added to this department. There's a staff of 3 right now. And as of last year, we did increase some of the service fees in this department. But even with that, I believe we're projected to see a decrease of about 27% revenue. In clerk's office, yeah, 27%. From the revised revenue of 185. 186,000 down to 137,000. Is it fine to bring the clerk up for any questions?
Sure.
Does the council?
I don't have questions. I mean, your budget was, I think, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. I didn't see anything that raised any questions for me personally, but I don't know if I should go that way. I didn't have any questions.
Appreciate it. MLD is on the list. Municipal lighting department is on this list as well. As most of us know, municipal lighting department is managed as a separate enterprise in the city. Obviously, their focus is on distributing power, but also administering the IED program, tree removal, and other initiatives like EV station installments. We did settle an IBEW contract with MLB this year. So, we would see some increases in payrolls due to that, not a lot, but a reasonable amount of increases in payroll, consistent with the 1.5% increase and some other measures that we took for reconciling or balancing some of the other payroll based on title. Some increases in depending on title, some straight 1.5, some negotiated a little bit higher.
I do have some questions. On page 45 of the Munis report, where it lists MLD industrial sales. And it's listed, I don't know what that is, listed at 3,400,000, increase of 15%.
That's what the revenue that we will be getting from the industrial customers.
Okay.
That's where the Bitcoin people are. Others there.
I think of all the places in the budget to go to examine, you have so much for like this line, this line, this line.
Well, I mean, we have available on budget for the Public Service Commission regulation. So when you look at this, it's the same for any utility in the state of New York. So that the Public Service Commission looks at them, they're looking at after that, to that happens large. So we're required to have regulation to do it this way.
I didn't have any questions about your payroll, that was really straightforward. And I know that at our last MLD meeting, we talked about electric, I know this isn't part of the budget necessarily, but that if I'm understanding correctly, we may look at an increase in electrical charges from coming from the state or
We're not looking, there are going to be.
they are.
This winter, Public Service Commission has been telling everybody across the state to expect increases in electric rates up to 50%. However, because the way we use the hydro and the way our joint agency buys its power, they're looking at for residential customers anywhere from 0 to 5%, assuming a normal winter. If we get a really wet winter, extreme cold, that will go up, but we're not looking for so much there. We do know that the REX debts are on an exponential trajectory upward because of the green initiative the state wants to do. They have a lot to get done in the next 8 years, so those costs are going to skyrocket there. We know on hydropower, the New York Power Authority has indicated that it is looking at a 50% increase for next year. Now, we don't know the details of that, that's across the board, or that's strictly on the demand charge, or is it on the energy charge? I don't know, the energy charge hasn't changed in over 20 years. The rationale to give for it is again, the state has tasked with a lot of green initiatives, upgrading transmission lines and stuff, in order to meet those requirements. So they are seeking additional funds. We do know supplemental power will increase. Hopefully, we don't have to buy much of it. Typically, we only buy it in the winter months, that depends how cold it is outside. But at just about every category, cost is going up. Except NLD rates are what's going to drive this is the PPAs deal, the purchase power adjustment charge. Typically, that's been around a penny per kilowatt hour. Give or take, goes up and down slightly. But we will probably see that climb in the next few months, fortunately.
Hey, Bill, do you think that the bond act they just passed gonna help us out there a little bit? Maybe they would contribute some to these wind farms down on Long Island and whatever.
No,
They just gonna.
it's going to come out, it's going to be what they call it socialized electricity. Everybody in the state contributes to it, whether you receive any benefit or not. People who are not getting a direct benefit, i.e. being the electric charge, so they're saying they're getting a secondary benefit, that they're cleaner air, fighting climate change, saving the planet. But for example, the wind farms, they're releasing out the land off the Hamptons and Montauk Point. With a projection by roughly 2026, they actually have wind farms built out there. Those costs will then be distributed amongst all the ratepayers in the state of New York. Initially, well, right now, the plan is 60% of the cost will be paid downstate, New York City, Long Island, Westchester County, and so forth, and 40% will be upstate. However, people downstate are finding that they want everybody to pay equally into it. Don't know how that will pan out.
Yeah, because I know the wind farms that were put in up here were all benefit, no cost to anybody.
No, they're being subsidized. Every one of them is subsidized. Otherwise, nobody would build one.
Yeah, but it wasn't subsidized by us.
Again, that's, we've paying Rex and Zex since 2017. That's where it's being subsidized. So, yes, And that's why I say it goes up exponentially, because the amount of power we're gonna need in the future, and gonna need a lot more wind farms and solar farms built. That tier 4 reps will include that line that's being built down to Hudson now from Canada to New York City. We will also see that in a few years, if we can add to our bills. So, yeah, there's no free lunch this.
You know, the towns up there, though, they got money out of that, and the school districts did too. For the ones that were put in up here, they kicked back money into the communities.
That was part of that deal, but it's all being subsidized.
Yeah, we got.
And the problem is, the power is needed up here. There's more solar and wind power up here that's needed. Both western New York and here, where it's really needed is down in New York City area. They have, I guess you could call it the greatest power in the state, Westchester County, Long Island, and so forth. But they got no way to get that power there right now because the transmission lines can't support getting it there.
Yeah,
Until they're all upgraded and stuff. That's why if you drive along, along Halliburton there, you see the wind farms as far as the distance you can to wind the turbines. Only a couple of them are turning.
there's more than that.
Well-
I go by there quite often.
Well, a lot of times they're not all turning because there's no way for that power.
Heard that.
A lot of it is being said, people don't know that it's been sent over to Vermont and New Hampshire. Make up for the, get you nuclear plant, shut down.
Yeah, I know most of them spinning now when I go through there. They're sending it somewhere.
Probably over there, they are upgrading the lines to north of us here, and it should be done. Some of them will be done next year, and the rest by 2024. The big problem is the line going south. Those are gonna be 2 years distance. So they get upgraded, so they can support the power to get it, move it down there. The problem is, I don't know if you're gonna be able to turn, and need to get back.
Not in my backyard.
That, you got it. So, out of my backyard. People love transmission lines. Bring them the power, as long as they don't have to see them. And trying to build one is almost an impossible task. So what they're doing right now is, where they've got existing lines, they're upgrading them, the amount of power that they can carry on them. That's what they did up here with the northern ones. They could carry 230 volts. They upgraded them to 345,000 volts. So that's the way they're doing it for the moment. But they're gonna have to build a lot more in order to move the power all over the state with what they want to do.
Yeah, I wasn't picking on you, Bill.
Okay, that's no problem.
Bill, in the budget report on the very last page. OPEB health insurance approved total for 2021. And then nothing for the subsequent years. Why is that? Got 1,550,008, the very last page 54 of the image report.
That's not a budgeted item, it's accruals that the auditors feed us as projected contributions for MLD to carry on our books for health insurance and a retirement system.
So why isn't there anything for 2022, 23?
The report's not done yet.
Okay.
It's been at the end of the year,
Okay.
and then we book it again at the end of the year.
Yeah, the actual healthcare is the $1,060,000. And that takes care of current employees and retirees. That will be-
We're working on a GASB 75 report, starting this week.
What does that stand for? Yeah.
General, Federal County Standards Board,
GASB.
GASB,
Got it.
GASB 75, it's been upgraded from GASB, 40 something,
Yeah,
yeah.
we do new releases every several years for some reason. And ours, we don't budget it because it's such huge swing. Some years they may tell us, to book several $100,000 in the gain, and then like last year was like a 1.2 million swing at the deficit. So the bottom line ended up making our books of that, but it's just a paper entry from actuarial accounting.
Nothing's actually paid anywhere. Like we discussed last week.
Mhm. Yep.
That's the only number in the entire city accounting structure that there is an OPEB number. Because they have to disclose the numbers much like a private entity does. What would be the effect of you funding this if you had to, and that's that number? We should have that done in the next month, so we'll have a number there for the end of the year.
Bill, is there anywhere on the budget? Like I said, there's so many lines for the MLB budget. Is there anywhere in here you can point us to where you need new equipment, supplies, things like that, new vehicles? Is it reflected in the no?
Not our capital.
Is that your capital?
Yes,
Okay. Is that in here somewhere
I don't know.
Now, the way it is done, you budget the revenues and then you budget operating expenses. And if you see, in line 4,500 depreciation expense, there's $2.2 million, I think it's 2190 with other accounts. So several $1 million is a paper entry against depreciation expense. But we assume they're going to be able to fund the depreciation account with cash as revenues come in. We park debt service, our retirement obligations during the year, and then depreciation. I think we put like 1.1 million so far this year into the depreciation reserve, and then that buys any capital needs for subsequent years, whatever we have in for that. So indirectly, it's in there because it's written up in the revenues. And we usually try to target like between 1.5 and 2 million to slide into the capital for any capital expenses. Try to just break even and not do it much.
And in that detailed capital expenditure plan report, MLB has their own section to show what they're looking at individual line.
Okay.
And we have a couple of vehicles in there. The biggest ticket item off the top of my head is for replacement transformer at Single Orange One. That'll be roughly $2 million. If we will bond. We need to upgrade our transformers up there. They're getting the old age side of things. That one's been there nearly 60 years. Plus, we will be enlarging it to support the future of EVs and so forth. Take that into consideration.
Those are all the questions I have. For you.
Anything else?
Thank you. Thank you.
Move on to police. 2022 this year, we added a net total of 10 new uniformed officers. We actually had 10, but 2 of those folks moved on to other agencies. Also this year, mid-year, we will settle a 6-year contract for a contract that's been out expired for 6 years, which resulted in a total retroactive payroll plus their benefits that equal close to $1 million. This is upwards of $900,000. The department expenses as of this budget is 4.9 million, 3.9 of which is payroll. That does include the departmental payroll plus retroactive pay. It does include departmental payroll plus retroactive pay for all members active and retired.
I think that also includes the price.
Yeah. Well, no, that's just about the contract, specific to the contract. Their payroll does include Their payroll includes dispatchers. Crossing guards. And any special assignment officers, PHA and youth safety advocate. Youth safety advocate and the PHA officers are reimbursed. There's a reimbursable amount paid back to the city for providing those services upwards of, I think it's like 90,000, it was $100,000, which is reimbursed. This departmental budget did see a decrease in revenues, primarily due to bail reform over the last several years. So we did see a decrease in revenues, about 9% from last year, and an increase in revenues of about 5.75%, just under 6%. So 5.75% increase in expenses, departmental expenses. Again, a lot of that is due to the increase in payroll costs. Certainly, the city found itself in a position that although it had saved money from not negotiating contracts, this bill comes due. And it came due here. The retroactive payment for retirees and active officers is budgeted here. So considering the next year's budget, we should not see, we should actually see somewhat of a decrease in payroll expense for the police department. This budget also includes 2 officers, adding 2 new officers in here to make up for the 2 lost officers that we had moved on to other agencies.
I see, fines and work for the bail is budgeted at $125,000. What accounts for that increase? It's, yep, it's,
Which line are you looking at?
it's on page 2 of the munis report. It is 1126. And the fund number is 2610. Fines and forfeited. Budgeted $125,000, just a large jump from last year. Just wondered what that was.
Yeah. Come on, look them up.
I believe a number associated with COVID and bail reform together. Typically, looking back on a 5-year average, it was significantly lower in 2020 and 2021. Now that things have changed a little bit, I think those numbers are anticipated to increase.
That's a guesstimate, a best guesstimate. We may be overprojecting a little bit, but it's, we think that it might go up. That's my opinion.
What is this line? 20, it's in the same fund and or the same line, but the fund is 2626. FORFCRVE. As a forfeiture. Okay.
Yeah, and that's associated to DOJ's EA affiliations. So anytime we do cross agency work, we do get a cut of any forfeitures that they receive. The same thing goes with 2627. That's the treasury department, and 2628. Just a catch-all. That last one's a catch-all for any other that we would see crime forfeitures.
I have a question. Maybe, it sounds like Richard may have forwarded this information already, but we haven't received it. What's the total for wages and benefits for the total fire department or police department, we'll ask the fire department after.
The mayor just said that 3.9 million was budgeted.
Okay, and that includes, health insurance for retirees?
No, that's payroll.
Well, I wanted to know what the total in wages and benefits that we pay out. Police department.
Or just.
Yes, all, and including what we pay to retirees. Do we have that number? Is that something we could make up for?
I don't have it right with me, but I have.
No,
That's not on this budget.
No, I would really be curious about that. I know I should ask that every time, actually.
You can look further down in the expense section, start with 1.9 and it's an 8,000 object account, and you see that there's a separate police retirement along with fire, 1,609,000.
Yeah, I was just thought if you could
Yeah.
get that all in one. I don't really have to search through the lines and get an inaccurate number. I know you were very
You're just patronizing me right now. Yeah, no, I can pull it together for police versus fire, total cost, benefits included,
Thank you.
no problem. I'll send it to you.
All right.
I'll send it to the mayor and the chiefs. And then you can forward it on to the council.
I guess the big number looking at. You know, what all is said and done is like, what percentage of our budget is wages and benefits? Total percentage, I know it used to run between 70 and 75, I'm just wondering what that big number
It's
is.
probably about the same percentage. Across the board for the whole city, it's a $16 million figure. In the general fund, it's a $9 million figure. And you see the two police and fire budgets are in the $3 to $4 million figure for just payroll.
Yeah, that's payroll and,
Benefits across the board are $12 million figure. The general fund, I believe, is about 8. So anyway,
could you boil that down into a percentage somehow or another? For me?
sure.
I mean, I don't need it right now, but I was just curious how we're trending. Is that something you guys would want?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you see that summary that I sent to the mayor today, shows across the board payroll, contract service, benefits, debt service. All you have to do is put the payroll numbers together with the benefits numbers.
I know it sounded like you had already done this.
And it's pretty simple to see that it's a big number. You know, out of a total of 63 million across the board for the total city budget. So, yeah, but I'll dig up the police and the fire details. I do that every year anyway. And I'll do it based on what the mayor's budget says so far.
Yeah, just our budget alone of the 4.9 million, 3.9 million is wages, so that's quite a high percentage.
Only including this year, the extra. Okay.
So minus the retro would really be like 3.5.
Yes, I wouldn't want to confuse that with.
Yeah.
the actual- what you're saying.
The retro is 408,000. Okay,
So you're,
Yes.
you're,
Would be like 3.5
yeah,
actual stuff.
Yep.
That's a one-off, so we don't.
In the payroll,
That's-
sorry, in the payroll spreadsheet I provided council, it breaks out retro pay out of the general fund payroll. So you can do the, you know, you gotta do the math from that, but yeah, it'll be about 400, or sorry, 350. Sorry, 3.5 million.
So the two people that are included on that payroll sheet before new hires are placed in there to replace two people who left. Right?
Correct.
Okay.
correct.
And that
I
was,
mean, it doesn't cover our shortages, but it does cover those two.
And how many, with those two vacancies budgeted in, you're anticipating hiring obviously. How many sworn officers will be in the department?
If we hire those
If you
two,
hire those two, how many sworn officers?
41,
41 sworn.
because We were at 40, one just left, so we're down to 39. Does that sound correct, Mayor?
Do you have any, anticipated retirements for 23?
No, 24.
Yeah, going into 24.
24, we have 7 retirements.
Oh, but
Yeah, it's scary. It's tough to hire officers too, so.
And the parking enforcement is under your responsibility,
Yes.
right? And that's 2 individuals.
Yes. Yeah, they work out of our offices.
And I know this isn't necessarily part of the budget discussion, but any progress on getting I think we see animal control out?
We talked to a couple, very, very tough. Some of them. To get a contract is tough, but we got a couple more people to call. Some of them, the ones that we talked to, will only do dog control, right, or animal control.
A few that we spoke to, they'll only do stones, raccoons, and woodchucks, and that's. So something like that. We have gotten some rates. Working with the mayor on some shared service stuff up to this point, trying to move forward first and then great, so hopefully. We'll talk in the next couple weeks.
And I'm looking at your police budget and is there a place in the budget for the salary was $25,000 set aside? I think it was $25,000 set aside last year.
35,000 budgeted for next year.
Where is that here?
It's on.
Oh, next meeting.
4430.
Yep.
4430.
So it's after fire. That's why I didn't see it. Okay.
And incidentally, I was talking with a friend of mine down where I live, who's very big into not only the animal control, but the dog control as well. He's an expert, and he's been all over the country training and doing this stuff. And I asked him if he knew any people up this way. He's gonna research it for me and get back to me tomorrow. He said he would research to see if the people that are qualified to do this kind of work up this way. He has a listing or something, so hopefully that'll help.
So the 2 lines, the contract service fees for service, but you see we've only linked out 1 line and that. Understand this one,
The fees for services
yeah,
are that Eleanor SPPA contract that's required by Africa. We also have the Eagles Nest Dangerous Dogs contract. That's included in that. And then incidentals for case related medical treatment that animals may need.
That comes from that line as well.
okay. So the contracted services is what we're talking about, then where you're
Right,
you're
exactly.
allocating that.
That's
money
what we're trying to hire.
For nuisance animals, right? So we look at it.
Yeah,
surprising to me that, that they're, we can take the wild ones, but not the dogs or the cats.
Well, my experience is that it's like a day. And meanwhile, it's trying to get them at 11 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning. It falls back on the police, and the police are ended up really dogging the whole animal control. That's been my experience over the years.
And for them to leave traps and stuff, I think we'll all be doing that. The time, but
Yeah.
to have the dog, to find more. Processes that they follow.
Right, those things tend to be more like in the moment, where like you can lay the trap or the stock or whatever, wait.
Pick it up in the morning.
Yeah.
spend 30 minutes running around on that, chasing the mayor's dog down.
Oh, so most of our officers, whatever the animal is, they want to save it, they want to kill it, they have to, unless you grab it, so.
And we are working on that.
And we've been a couple of years around, so. We get plenty of calls, council, get plenty of calls. stones. That's.
We got some talented guys over there. They know how. Some of these guys are so uniform. Amazing what they've been doing now, grads, marathons and stuff. They shouldn't be doing this.
No,
Somebody asked.
yeah, that's the whole goal, really, quite frankly, is to get somebody professional on who can manage us, and we're not sending our officers out to try to change that. That's what you really have to.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you, this guy that I'm talking to, on my way, he's professional. He's training not only dogs, but fox, you know. He can do his nature, shots, he knows it all. So he's very experienced across the country doing this. Hopefully, I hope it's fine to do it this way. It's interesting in this work.
You know, we've heard from, animal nuisance parks. We've got right on that.
Any questions about the budget? Further questions about the budget?
I noticed in the mayor's budget, we've got 200,000 for overtime.
Yes.
Page 13.
Yeah.
We've exceeded that, I think, every year that. I've been a council.
Yeah, that's true, and from my experience, that's not gonna go down. I mean, we're down. At the height of Plattsburgh PD, they had 52 officers. You're down now to 39. So with that, it's gonna come more overtime. So I think that's part of the problem. And that, you know, that certainly was here when I came here, so we've been working on trying to change some things in overtime, like during the daytime. You know, for the lieutenants, you know, if you're working, you do lieutenants, I'm working, you know, we can save overtime on the day shift, guy that calls in sick. We can cover some calls. I have to leave my desk and go out now, like they can, so we can do little things like that, but it's tough when there's over $200,000. Like this, give you an example, this past weekend, we had an attempt at our robbery, you know, our guys went out and work on it. Those are important, you don't wanna let them go for the weekend. I said, no, guys, one of those, you know, the guy showed up a weapon, you know, when it was figured out, when our guys figured it out, but they spent the weekend, so it's gonna cost us an overtime for 2 or 3 detectives, but they did a phenomenal job. And the problem, you know, not as big as we thought it could have been. You know, when we can start doing attempted armed robberies, that's serious for the city. And it's important for a police department to get a handle on that right away. And you can't say, well, wait till Monday, take care of that. Take care of it now, take care of it over the weekend, and they did, and they got who made an arrest, so that's important.
Yeah, other questions? Thank you.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last but not least is fire. The Plattsburgh Fire Department carries the second largest budget without a doubt. We're seeing a 1.6% increase in their expenses. And then a projected 2.4% increase in the revenue.
Thank you.
That's associated with higher costs for delivering services in the department and civil services. Other ancillary services that we're looking to provide in the year as well. We did hire this year an assistant chief, much needed to help control some of the costs. With overtime, management at the station, training. And that's been a good help for us as well. Total expenses projected in 2023 of 3.3 million. Total revenues is 927,000. Questions on this one?
I do have a question, excuse me, it has to do with the ambulance charities. So, you have budgeted $925,000 in revenue. So in 2021, according to this report, the actual revenue was 887,000. In 22, we budgeted for 900,000. I mean, we're still projecting 900,000, but according to this report, 2022 actual is 694,000. So, have we, since the inception of the second ambulance, have we ever made $900,000 in revenue on an ambulance? I know there have been a number of things that have happened, COVID, shortages in employees and so on, but have we ever met that amount?
Last year was minus four, right? Last year, 2021 was 887,049. And right now, updated report was 785, 540, 784, 547 for the year. 2022. Is it this month's already? That's, yeah, it came into that. That's the 1114. I'm not looking at the multi-med reports. I'm just looking at the report for revenues. Okay. The business system. I think back in 2019, which I don't have with me, we did go over 900,000 in revenues.
In 2019, 2018, it was 671, 2019, 922.
I was thinking 925.
2020 was 914.
Yeah, 20 was 914. All right.
2021 was 887.
All right. So we did 2 years there, no? 2020. So we're over 900.
We're projecting this year, we're gonna have more, our call volume's going up. So we're, right now, I think we're about 140 calls more than we were. So that increases our revenue.
Of those calls, I don't, excuse me, I don't know if you can really answer this right now because I'm asking you on the spot, but of all the calls, about how many of those are people who don't follow through and, you know, maybe they don't want to pay for it, so you show up and they say, no, never mind, I'm not going on the ambulance.
Right.
Like, how many of those, do you know how many of those calls?
I can find that out. We, no transports, 20%. So we budgeted on. There, we've got a formulary that our previous chief made up that works very well. So we just keep plugging into it and increase our revenues accordingly with it.
So you're budgeting 925,000 based on the calls received that you are actually getting paid for. Like
Right,
for your
yes.
historical data, that's what you're
Historical
using to
data.
say, we think we're gonna make a $925,000.
Right. That's what we're basing it on. Historical data and trends with our call volume increasing.
Do you have any anticipated retirements this year in 2023?
One,
You've
I
won.
believe, may be going, again, we aren't 100% sure. He's verbalized that he was gonna go, but until the actual paperwork goes in, I don't have a way of,
How many eligible to retire? Just the one?
oh no, we've got
You've got 7 eligible.
seven eligible.
And how many, do you know how many in 2024 are gonna be eligible?
I would have to look that up. I don't have that right with me. But I can get that to the mayor. We'll forward it to you.
I had a question. I think it was back in 2020, maybe, that we did a memorandum of understanding to create the second ambulance. I don't believe I ever saw that. Has anyone else on the council seen that? There is a copy of it somewhere.
Oh, yeah. It was forwarded to council once upon a time. I don't know where, it's somewhere along my inbox, no doubt, but I'm sure the mayor could find that and send it to us. Because it tells what the terms and conditions are. And I believe that MOA expires at the end of this year, 2022.
Well, sorry, I was bringing it up. I thought it was-
Chief, is that right? And the MOU is expires at the end of 2022. I think it was supposed to be in conjunction with the expiration of the contract.
Yes, it's,
So that means the end of this year.
right. And with the problem that we've had.
Thank you.
Easier, the problem that we've had, is we have to order the wrong second ambulance, we need 8 people on here.
We need,
8 people on shift. And due to our staff shortages, we haven't been able to reach that number. We aren't calling in overtime to run the second ambulance.
Okay.
What we're doing is when the staffing meets 8 or 12, then we place it in. The union has made that considered agreement with us. We do that. Now, there are other times we've had ambulances been down. We haven't had the opportunity to put that into play as a transport. It's because the transport is where you're gonna make your money. When you actually, that's what you get your revenue from, is transporting. It's not going to the scene and treating and releasing the transport to the hospital, what care is given and what level of care is given.
so I mean, in essence, you really are running one and a part-time ambulance. Would that be
Part-time,
correct?
yes, so it's never been able to see its full potential. I know there was 2 models that were presented in the previous administration. There was one was full-time, did 8 people every day. This is what you would get for revenue, and the other one is, it's just that ambulance is there as a reserve. If we have 8 people, we can make some added revenue with it. Why don't we do that? Still do. It's pretty simple to do it that way. All costs are covered by the transports. What we wasn't a huge increase. But expenses.
So when you don't have enough staff to fully staff that second ambulance, those calls are picked up by CDPH, or are they picked up by separate ambulance services?
CVPH, and recently we've seen such a large spike that we're calling it from Morrison. So there are people that have been several times we've had, even recently, that might be in the south end of the city, the ambulance is coming from Morrisonville. Our engine crew would go there and stabilize the patient and do what they can do, pack them, get ready, get all the information. So when the ambulance comes, then they can transfer. Or if ours becomes available before Morrisonville gets in, then they go. But there's as anybody that's been to the hospital lately knows, there's a backlog and they have severe staffing shortages, and same for the ER. ER is at capacity. Our crews go there. You cannot just put a patient on a stretcher and then leave. It's abandonment. So you have to stay with them and then give a report to chargers, some equal or higher. There's time. So we're seeing that.
So is the same true for the first ambulance? You also have to have that core of 8 people.
No, that's the south. So we cross that, which is one of the ways that we're able to run the ambulance is that people are assigned to a fire engine or they're assigned to the ambulance. If a fire call goes in, our ambulance goes out of service, we're covered by CDPH. They're dealing with that type of emergency. If an EMS call comes in first, those 2 people are out on the ambulance. We don't have them available for fire response or any other response. So we're basically playing percentages. And trying to move our people around and have them jump from vehicle to vehicle depending on what comes in.
Well, how many fires a year does the city have? Structural fires, like real fires that need to be doused.
More than you would expect. Large conflagrations or more big fires that you see. We're to 20, but you wouldn't think that's not, we get kitchen fires, we get electrical.
Right, that's what I mean. Anytime
We
there's a
have-
real fire, not just a false alarm, but.
I have that report, I supply it, I would supply a breakdown even further. We had a vehicle fire at CDPH, and I didn't know, things you don't even know about. Basements, somebody had an electrical panel that caught on fire and caught part of the flooring. They were there quickly, we're there. We meet the standard of having an engine on scene within 300 seconds. The national standard you're supposed to meet is 90% of the time, we're doing 90%. For the 2 stations,
So we're getting there fast. And when we do that, we can, hopefully, it's somebody's home. And we can get to it quick enough. It's when nobody's home and the fire starts and it's somebody driving by the door, it's just that's what we. The idea is not to have the kitchen fires or maybe small fires develop into large. Right. Right, so you do community outreach, and some education, that's what we do, we just got done with the schools. Got a report out this getting from there, how many, children, what age group they were that we had contact with. You know, what medium we used for those, individuals and how it worked out, we're also looking at doing one for high school, so our high school students that are getting ready to move out on their own, seniors. Prior to going, maybe we're working to try to do with the high school. So they're gonna be out on their own, maybe in a college dorm, maybe off campus, living somewhere, give them some more fire safety and some tips. That could help them, not just stop, drop, and roll as a child.
Make one for you too, that we can keep on the city website,
Right.
for real.
Yeah, we can do, so we're looking at a lot of that. Maybe the seniors looking at data, checking our analytics and seeing where the fires are happening and what age demographic it is. And if it's an elderly age demographic, we can try to target that area. So there's ways to try to do it, but we don't want fires. And that's the key. We want everybody safe. Our part is to educate and help out and do door to door with smoke detectors. We've done that. We partnered with the college and others, trying to get that so we don't have a large fires. We've heard that a lot of calls come from college. Is that true? Quite a large percentage. Large percentage, and they are not false calls. It's something to set off the detector, but we're working with them. If we have had some problems, they've been educated on the spot. I know one time, at 2:30 in the morning, they had a meeting outside with the officer, explaining to them, what was going on and why we were trying to do our best. And University Police does a really good job with us. Who do you work with? They're officers, but also at Rasco. We have a problem, I see something, I can just have a call, and Chief Rasco will take care of it. Is there a similar type of program for their students? Yes. To educate them on. They do that when they come in. They get it. Yes. Right. Is it healthy? Do you think? I would hope so. I would too.
Well, you gotta think, if they didn't have it, we'd probably have even greater numbers.
Right,
You know,
right.
like, these are with the control measures in place.
Right, I'd rather go to a lot of those automatic alarms for something when it's really small, one of those high rises having something on the fourth floor with all the people on it. So, we're working. That's quick response also, and we've got procedures in place for working with the university police on that. So, but sometimes you can't fix it, Gotta put water in your easy pack before you put it in the microwave. That's true story. Multiple.
We have a simple solution that we take, the college should take those privileges away from these people so we can't figure it out.
Well, they have kitchenettes too. They have
You know, lots of them
yeah.
Oh, yeah, hot plates.
And,
Plates, yeah, in
asking for trouble.
things that'll set up, maybe the things that'll set up. the detect.
in other college campuses, I have a vague recollection of this, some research that I have done years ago. Isn't it true that in other SUNY or other college campuses, they have, like their own, like a smaller fire department or something that will respond to issues on their own campus? Maybe not a full-blown fire department, but something that.
Usually it's the larger universities. I know that LSU has their own department, like the fire trucks painted their colors with all the mascot is on the side of it. I've seen that, but not, I don't believe SUNY schools, but I can ask them now.
I was gonna say, I don't remember anything like that at SUNY Albany. I think they just used the Albany.
Right.
Or Gilbert.
Some other college campuses have people on the campus respond to fire so that the municipal fire departments are not taxed I don't mean tax of money, I mean like stressed from, you know, demands.
Right.
And wondered,
I can ask around, I know the chief of Cortland. I could talk to him. I know the chief of Bethel, I could talk to him. Maybe that's not a swing school, but maybe they do something a little bit. Look into that. A sweeter also.
Only thing to throw out there though that I do know, just as far as at least right now, SUNY Plattsburgh obviously is financially a tight spot, so I don't know if they'd be in a situation to fund something like that, even if we wanted them to.
Right.
but you do, and we talked about this when I was on public safety back in 2019, Peter Rensel. There are other college campuses that have, and I'm sure our local college campus has this as well. You've got young men and women who are already volunteer individuals in their units back in their home. And I wonder if there could be some kind of partnership with these individuals, but that would definitely need to be an MOU because we take a little part of the work. But
Right, and it would also have to be a lot of with college. That's, you know, who's gonna, you know, maybe not even just. Yeah, there's a lot of responsibility too. You know, a lot of liability. If you have somebody who says, no, it's not big, it's nothing, and turns away, this way, it turns into something else.
but
We'd have a lot of things that have to look at.
I would like to see something like that investigated, because I think that would be a good use of collaboration and resources from, you know, the city students and the city campus, along with our municipality. I'd love to see something like that.
And I know State Fire goes quite a bit, and we've done partnerships with them for education. I know I can ask State Fire also. See if they know of any place. So I can use some contacts and see where things work out.
Just fun.
Yeah, it's taxing at times.
Yeah, and especially because our municipal departments are responding for fires, but I mean, if something happens on their campus and we need police, they have a police department on their campus to respond. To take care of things. But our municipal fire department is being utilized, and I don't understand why there can't be some kind of collaboration to, you know, lessen the burden on our municipality.
They do provide money for their yearly, which that's $21,500 and give it towards to offset the cost of the year.
For through year 15 and 20.
Will you?
Year 15.
So to follow up with Jeff's question though, about the MOU, if that MOU is going to end in December of this year. Has public safety discussed what's going to happen next?
We're in contract negotiations.
Oh, okay, so that's going to be folded in with the contract negotiation. Oh. Thank you. Follow question. First.
I believe that includes the departmental review. If there's any other questions, I know folks have maybe had more questions after reviewing the budget. This budget's been available since over and the beginning of October.
I just had one parting question for Richard.
You're not off the hook yet, Richard. Back up here.
Okay, that bond anticipation note that we just did for 11.6 million, could you tell me which projects those are for? I know it's probably for more than one thing. It's not just the one thing, am I correct?
Off the top of my head, he's got 7 million for the water lines on Lake Country Village. You got $1 million for a well drilling. You got 600,000 for New York roads, AC pipe replacement. So that's all the water, in fact, except for, you know, water sharing, some of the costs for some vehicles. Where you'd say 1/3 water, sewer, general. You got $1,290,000 for roads. Last year's work. I think it's $1,065,000 for this year's work. 200. No, we get 380,000 building improvements. City Hall and ramps at the fire station. Sure, if I can remember the list. It's 11,857,000. Okay, also items 75,000 for issue costs. Bond issue costs between. You know, the bond agent and our bond counsel. And it has rating costs that we might get different. Although this rating that we had done the other day, was paid for by the customer. It was beneficial. I think now there's another 40,000 in there for farmers market. 41,614 comes to mind.
That we did this year, is that the?
Was working, it started last year, I think. Yeah, the first 2.7 million of this was bonded in March for spending we did last year, carried over into this year. And we added to it to make it 11,857 for work being done this year. And had to be paid for and also continued into next year. So I'll send you the list of that.
Thanks.
Kind of schedule, I think I sent that to the mayor, we didn't put that in the mayor's budget, but.
No, it's not, it's a capital project. Yeah, you always have the numbers, Richard,
Sometimes,
all the time.
so, and we're gonna get to those funds on Thursday, we're gonna pay off the. And on Friday in March. Roll it forward, and we'll probably roll it forward next year unless it's time to put in place permanently better interest rates. And the funding materializes from all the different sources that we're waiting for from New York State.
How long are you allowed to roll those for, like, when you do an anticipation, notes, whether usually a year or somewhere thereabouts?
We did one for 4 years. 2014, 15, 16, 17, we put 8.8 million in place finally in 17, 8,805,000. So I think we can do it for 5 years without raising any eyebrows at all.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't know the answer to that.
I have a question. I don't know if this is something we can answer off the top of your head, Richard. If the budget or the overall budget were going to be reduced by another 1.5%, how much would that equate to in money cut from the budget?
From 63 million?
The entire general fund, the general fund
Across the
or
whole city.
Two.
Across the whole city, it'd be 1.5% of 63 million. General fund, 1.5% of 26 million.
1.5%, what was the first thing? It's like 1.5% of 60.
63 million.
60.
And general fund alone is 26, was it 26 million more than 1 year? So 1.5% of that would be what? 300,000.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
And managers for very helpful budget sessions and really appreciate it. Thank you. Lots to consider.
go.
We'll clear for that.
Thank you. If there's any further questions about the budget, please forward them over. Happy to address them. I can forward it over the NLA. Council.
Thank you.
And then the documents, like I said, the detail, capital project list, not just the summary presented, sent over as well. Everybody has table reports. Yeah, in terms of a $300,000 cut, that is the general, that is the. Essentially, it is the retroactive payment. So it's also something to consider. Budget structure rebalances and rebalance. Meaning the revenues cover the expenses. So.
I have two personnel questions.
Yeah.
That to do with payroll. Let me ask them here.
I mean, like, unless it's like, hey, we're gonna talk about somebody specifically.
No, I just have a question. I don't want to talk about that person, but I just have a question. So. I believe last year, and then we had a conversation probably through the year,
Yep.
water plant operator.
Well, we're not gonna just keep the titles out because it's pretty easy to identify.
Is that raised
Yes.
included in the salary?
Yes,
Can you, share with council what that dollar amount is, and the same thing with the.
that's
scale?
in the payroll sheet that I sent.
So the total payroll is there for that individual,
Yes,
is it broken down to tell us what the increase asked for is? That's what I couldn't.
let's
flesh out.
see, you're
See what it-
looking for the.
What is the dollar
range,
amount of the increase
for both items.
for, yes, for those two individuals? If you couldn't, if you wouldn't mind, sending that out.
Pat, you know, Pat, from the- Another question?
No, I don't have any other questions. I just, I know that we had discussed at the council meeting last week, are we ready to vote for this Thursday? I'm not. And I'm gonna echo what Caitlin said last time. I think that the December 1st goal is a nice goal. I can't commit right now to say, yes, I'm gonna vote on it. I just have, there's a lot more to go over. I was just chatting with Richard before the meeting started. Even if I'm certainly not a municipal budget expert, but this is, well, chat to it, I've been on council for the same amount of time. Fourth budget session, and I always have questions, and there's just a lot to consider. I'm absolutely not prepared to vote this Thursday. I hope I will be ready to vote on a budget by December 1st. But I need a lot more time to board everything. And like you, then I'm gonna echo something you already said as well, Caitlin. Some of us on this council have full-time jobs, and there's just a lot to juggle, and I don't think we should feel rushed to get through it. We have time. We have until December 15th. Actually, we've got until January if we really need it. But I want to make sure that I understand the capital budget. I want to understand all the various obligations we have. And take a look at some more numbers. So I just want to share that with council.
Right, and I think that as long as any counselor feels like they still have things that they need to figure out, then all counselors need to be respectful of that, because it is our budget now, so. I'm with Elizabeth, I'm, setting a goal of the first and hoping that we can make it for that.
Yeah, I've just got a ton of information and moving parts in there, and I would hate to think that we overlooked something because we were rushed on finding out what they were. I've learned a lot these last few weeks.
Well, even just us getting together to talk, like, look at us, we've been trying to schedule, so I mean, even just having that ability for some of us to get together and share perspectives, we need a little time for that, so.
There have been, thus far, there have been no resolutions that have come forth at this point, just so that everybody's aware. Nobody has sent, no one counselor has said, hey, I'd like to put this resolution forward regarding this budget. So that everybody's on the same page. Again, if there's any questions or need for more information, please let me know. Happy to- All right, thanks, folks.